Hello and welcome back to Choice Bits of Bliss. I have my froggy morning voice and I apologize for that, but this is when I have time to be alone and kind of get my thoughts focused and do projects. Most often it's weekends and it's really early in the morning. I thought today we would take apart my spring kit that I put together and just talk because I'm in the process of doing some downsizing and I still want to talk about it. And if you're watching this video, you may resonate with some of the things I say and you may not because we're all in different seasons. And I'll tell you who gave me permission to accept the crafting season concept. That was Miss Janet from RTS Scrapbooking. There's a lot of wisdom to that concept because if you're just starting scrapbooking or any hobby, you have to make purchases. You have to start gathering the things that you need, the supplies you need to immerse yourself in that hobby. So, yeah, that's the fun part, is all the gathering. And then you do a project, you realize you need a little more, you keep purchasing, and then there's the season of organizing because you have so much stuff, you've got to find a place to put it. And then there's the seasons, and these seasons can interlap, and you can cycle back around to them. You know, that's how seasons are. And I'm trying to organize this in a way so that I can reach for things when I need them. But these are scraps that I have left over, and then embellishments. And then there's the season of downsizing, because we have too much. We overbought. Now, if you are a wise person, you didn't overbuy. I'm not wise in that area. I overbuy. I still overbuy. So what I'm thinking about with this spring kit is that some of it may move forward into summer. And that's kind of what I'm wanting to look at. You know, what I want to move forward. I put my front porch in here because I wanted to use it and play with it and not just have it sit on a shelf. So I failed at that. I did not use it. I did use it on an album in a class. So I did get to play with it, and I've shared that album with you. I made this in an Andrea Lake class. So I have played with it, just not in this manner, not for spring layouts. Okay, we have a lot here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pause and grab some baggies. Instead of grabbing baggies, I grabbed some of these sleeves. Now, I like the ones that don't have the flap because I can just slide them in and slide them out. They are my favorite. I get these from Amazon. And if I can remember, I will link below. It is not a share site. I get nothing for it. I just love great organizational products. And so I will share that if I remember. If I don't, somebody remind me. Okay, I'm going to stand those up there. And I'm going to put this collection in one immediately because I don't want to get it messed up. And I don't think I want to play with this in the summer. I'll have to think on that. I also have some scraps left over. Not a lot. Andrea Lake is very good at using an entire collection. But I do have some scraps left over from the album that I can also put in here. I had mentioned that when I was sharing the album that I wanted to create a couple of more pages. So these are my scraps that are left over. Like I said, it is not a lot, but I'm going to put the album with this, and when I have a little more time, then I have this entire collection to pull from to create those additional pages. My stickers are getting hung up. There we go. So I'm going to put these together and work on this later. Another collection that I put in my kit that I did play with, I actually did play with it, was my Simple Stories Wildflower. That's from a couple of years ago. It was a collaboration between Simple Stories and My Mind's Eye. After, I'm sure that the collaboration was before they went out of business, but it came out to the market after My Mind's Eye went out of business, and I have quite a bit of it. I did use it, but I have a lot, and this is going to go back into my inventory. Let's see if I can get this all in here. We're going to do that off camera. That's a little awkward. Okay, that's going back into my inventory because I do love that kit. I have this pad from Prima. I think it was called Spring. It was Farmhouse something, and I can't remember. I love this. That's changing. This is all I have left of that paper pad, and I loved it. I think I have said that if I find this paper pad again, I would buy it. I love it. Definitely keeping these papers. I still love that. This is from Crepe Paper Gingham, I believe, and I have these still left from it. So this is a collection that I did not buy the entire collection. I just bought bits and pieces of it and just have a smattering left. I think that came from a paper pad. I don't think that came from the collection. Yeah, this is what I have left. This is very usable. You know I love a good green, and these can be added to my green category, or I can just put them in with my crepe paper. Haven't decided yet, but because this is all I have left, I'm going to disperse that into different categories in my room. I have this one sheet from Woodland Grove from Maggie Holmes. I love these. I don't know if these are supposed to be peaches or if they're off-colored oranges. I don't know, but I love this. So that is going to stay in my inventory. Sorry, I just had a hiccup. Keeping those. A couple of pieces of cardstock. That's going to go with my cardstock. And now we're down to this. This Hello Adventure from Keep It Simple. I played with this and found it to be cute. I like the stamps more than I like the collection. So there are some papers in here that I really, really like. I love these stars, but there's some in here that I find more like for an outdoorsy collection. It's not my style. You know, the little people, they look really juvenile. And I'm just not, that's not me. So a lot of this is going to be gifted to someone who would enjoy that. So, but I do like the stamps, and I'm keeping those. One of the things that I like about pulling a hodgepodge of kits and playing with them and mixing them up, more scraps. This is all that I have left over of this Flora collection from Carta Bella is that it exposes me. It gets me using my collections. I'm keeping this Pampered Pooch by Becky Moore. It also, like, once I get my hands in it, I'm really able to determine if it's my style, if it's something that I enjoy. Just remembered I've got these up here to put my stuff in. So I don't want to just offhand make decisions without ever playing with the product. I want to play with what I've purchased and then make decisions. I pulled in quite a bit of this Bold and Bright from Vicki Boutin. And Where To Next, because I just had bits and pieces of it. I didn't buy all of these collections. So there's Bold and Bright, Where To Next, and I saw something else. What was this one? What was Where To Next? I think this is just, oh, Print Shop, that I got from Joann back when it first came out to the Joann stores. And I'm keeping these. I'm going to put it with, because I have a cubby that's just Vicki Boutin. This is from Simple Stories, The Little Things. I believe that's the icons that go with that. And I don't have any paper left, I don't think, from, I think I used all the paper. Nope, here's the scraps. Here it is. I do have some paper left. I just need to put these with it. And this color scheme, I feel like, can go into summer. So I'm going to put this back in my container and when I start building my summer kit. And this is Pebbles. I've played with it. And I mixed in some Pink Fresh, Sunny Blooms. Yeah, Sunny Blooms. And love these alphas. I think there's things in here that I'm not fond of, and this is going to get torn down. So I'm going to set that aside. We'll do that at a later date. I did play with it quite a bit. Okay, Joyful Notes, keeping every stinking bit of it. I love that collection. Got a piece of white chipboard here that I am going to hold on to. White cardstock, keeping that for sure. And trying to find my Joyful Notes. Here it is. Yeah, I'm keeping my Joyful Notes. This is and you know what? I'm going to put it in my summer because I really still want to keep playing with this. And then I'll add some to it. This collection from, this was designed by Becky Adams. It's by Keep It Simple, Namaste Home. I love the paper. It's got a texture to it. It's thick. And I love the icons. Keeping this, I used quite a bit of it. Let me find my scraps back here. Definitely keeping this. I enjoy playing with that. And just looking at this green, I think this would complement that very well. And I think these, you know why these stamps work with this? Because they belong. They belong together. Okay, we have torn down my my spring kit. It was quite large. Got a wonky camera here. Try to straighten that out a little bit. And what can we do next? Let me pause and I'll think about that. Okay, I'm back. We're going to go ahead and kind of tear this down. This is what I have left of Simple Stories Spring Garden. I have all of these chipboard, these layered chipboard, and these frames, and this is all I have left of the paper. I used it. I mean, I don't have anything else to go with it. Will this work with something else? Yes. Do I have a good solution for all of these leftover embellishments? You know, I keep bumping up against this, and the answer is no. I do not have a good solution. So, I thought while I'm looking through this stuff, that we would chat about my strategies for downsizing, because, you know, I've said the words. I'm going to go ahead and throw away this packaging. And so now it's out there in the ether. I feel like I have to do something about it because it's on my mind, and I want to do something about it. So one of the things, and I did a video recently about one of the things I'm doing, is I'm separating myself from collections that don't inspire me. I've played with them. I had them in my season category, but they do not inspire me, and I don't love that. So I've pulled them out of my seasons, so I'm separating myself from them so that I'm not looking at them all the time, and making a decision that by pulling them out, getting them off my shelf, I'm not touching them all the time. Because I do go through my season shelf is the shelf that I go through most frequently, those shelves. And by removing them, it helps me to determine if they were important to me or not, so that I can make a decision later down the road if I want to keep them, yay or nay. So that's one of the strategies. I've been doing this for a while. I have slowed down my spending, and even spending drastically reduced. When stuff comes in, it feels a little overwhelming. And that's the truth of the matter. It still feels overwhelming because I have to find a place to put the things that it comes in. And I now have created a 13-inch cubby that is just my new product. And it fluctuates. I use it down, it fills back up. I use it down, it fills back up. Sorry, had to sneeze. Spring has sprung up here in the Northeast. Anyway, so even though I have slowed it down, my spending, I've decided to, because I am budgeted, we have my hobby as part of our budget, that to refocus that money on experiences instead of allowing myself so much product. And I have to introduce new thought patterns into my head and play with it for a bit before I put it into practice, because if I just rip the Band-Aid off and put it into practice, it flips me out. And I rebel, like subconsciously. I just kind of rebel and find myself shopping for no reason. I have a weird mental makeup, or maybe it's not weird, but I'm having to embrace who I am, how I think, and how I process, and find workarounds. So one of the workarounds for me is to know these things about myself and just embrace the fact that I have to introduce new concepts and then gently work my way toward the practical application. So what I'm thinking in the future is that my shopping experience is probably going to be the Stampin' Scrapbook Expo, if we continue that in the future. Oh, here's a page. I need to add a photo to that. Okay, that's different. Wasn't expecting to find that in there. And I'm not in love with this stencil, so that's going to go away. So that's a couple of my strategies. Another strategy, and I encourage you, this is Pink Fresh. I encourage you to watch Janet from RTS Scrapbooking. Go back from the very beginning of her channel and watch her, because, and if you have watched me at all or listened, you know I love her. I love her. She provides so much wisdom because she's been there and done that. I've often told her she's about 3 years, 2 to 3 years ahead of me in where we are in our hobby. Because when she first started talking about purging, I could not imagine. Well, guess what? I do. And when she first started mentioning the concept of a spending freeze, I was flabbergasted. How in the world could you? Well, guess what? So I've never really done a spending freeze, but I've slowed way down. But one of the things that she introduces early on is the concept of knockoff kits. And she is a genius at putting together kits. A genius. One of my favorite videos that she has done is a Simple Stories Spring Farmhouse knockoff kit. I will link that video below because she really simplifies the process of creating a knockoff kit from your own supplies, like what you already own. She shows you step by step how to do it, and I love that video. Another concept from Janet is just purchasing a sampling of supplies. So instead of getting the entire collection, buying all of the embellishments, just getting a sampling. And one of the things that I've mentioned recently that I think I'm going to do is I'm going to start asking my friends, hey, I'm thinking about buying this collection. I don't need all these embellishments. Do you want what's left over? I think that's the direction I'm going to go. One of the things I was mentioning, my mental makeup, and one of the things that I deal with is the guilt component. I've tried telling myself, don't feel guilty. Well, friends, that doesn't work. The guilt is still there. And one of the things I've had to embrace, I've had to start reconciling the why, and I'll get to that. Part of the guilt component is realizing I really am not the family archiver. My boys do not want all of the layouts I have of flowers and trees, fall color. My dogs, they may want one or two, but they do not want all of the photos that I have printed out of my dogs. Their dogs. They're going to want one or two layouts to remember, but they are not going to want every time their dog makes a different expression, they send me a picture and I scrapbook it. They don't want that. I know they don't. So I don't want to leave them with a burden. And that is, I'm having to reconcile all of this, at different times, struggling with what layouts to keep, which ones to put into an album, which ones can I just pitch. And I know that sounds wild. It sounds wild in my head. And I don't know if I have a good solution. I'm not loving this collection. So I think all this is going to go away. Anyway, there isn't a noble reason for my room full of stuff. That took me a long time to wrap my head around. If a non-crafter comes up in my space, they can't even wrap their head around why I have all of, why would I dedicate an entire room to paper? Why? Well, because I love paper. And becoming comfortable in that knowledge that I love paper, and it being okay in my head to just love paper, to just love creating with paper, gives me permission to let go. And then I'm having to find a balance of using and hoarding. So, why? Why do I have this guilt? I think so far, I think this is cute. Yeah, I'm going to keep that scrap. I like it. Coming from Black, so I grew up in a very, very large family. There wasn't a lot to go around, and there certainly wasn't money to spend on a hobby. You know, that was frivolous, and we didn't have extra money for frivolity. So purging feels scandalous because this is already frivolous. And I went ahead and spent, but now I'm downsizing. So that feels, it feels incongruent with the feelings I already have. And I shouldn't have this emotional connection and attachment with things, but I do. So I'm having to factor in the fact that I actually do. That's going away. So I have to give myself permission to enjoy this hobby, enjoy the paper. And this is cyclical. It goes around and around. I come to moments that I'm okay, I'm focused, and everything is groovy. And then all of a sudden, those old feelings of that little girl that wasn't allowed to have pretty paper, and then my first marriage, that it was not a priority to fund a hobby. All of that comes back in a flood. I don't know how to get rid of it. I don't know that there is a way to get rid of it. But I think by voicing this out loud, talking about it, helps me to get back to center more quickly, and not wallowing in all of the mire of the mixed emotions and the emotions that bring me down. I think that's what I want to get out, is that by putting it into words, because as long as it just sits in my head, it feels very unnecessary, and why would I even bother? I don't even want to come up in my room. I don't want to feel that way. I don't even know what that is. I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to feel like I don't want to come up in my room. I don't want to feel overwhelmed with the stuff that I have. So I have to be an adult and deal with all the things, the causes and the effects that I have created from my emotional attachments. So that is why we're having this chat. I don't know if this will help anybody else, but it helps me. Once I start reconciling all of these, the whys with the feelings, I'm able to come back to balance. That's why it helps me. So I'm going to wrap this video up. I think I have blathered on long enough. That's cute. And I hope that by talking about this and chatting about it, if you are having these conflicting emotions, that you're able to reconcile those emotions as well. And let's just enjoy our hobby and enjoy one another. Thank you so much for listening, friends. Come back and we will chat again soon.